Yeah. Mag Mike told y'all time and time again. All right, this is your boy Mag Mike coming at you guys with yet another live Q&A session. Like I said, man, get ready for quite a few of these things. We're gonna be doing these for at least the next um couple of weeks or so. All right. The NFL draft is getting around. It's right around the corner, you know. All right, we're happy. You go ahead, you guys, please, on this particular channel, AFN, as well as Six Man K Styles. If you do not see the draft board for the live that's already on this channel, go ahead and hit that notification to be notified when we go live. Like I said, man, we about to do the damn thing, but I want to kind of explain why. Sonia, how you doing, girl? Um, I want to explain why. I just see here I go trying to be nice again, but I guess I'm gonna just say the hell with that. There's a major problem for me, and I need Falcons fans to understand this. And this is a question that I have for you guys, ladies and gentlemen, right now. So if you tuning in just right now, I'm going to explain, and like I said, these 20-minute Atlanta Falcons Q&A sessions that I'm going to do, and this is one of the questions that I'm going to answer in long, for the most part. So I'm going to do my best to tell people why we're focused on the wrong shit. And the first question I have for you guys, and again, if you have questions in the comments, please leave the questions below. But this is a question that I have for y'all. Who are the Atlanta Falcons building around? That's the first thing that I have. Who are the Atlanta Falcons building this team around? Okay? How do NFL teams build? Okay? That's another thing. Which position did they start with first? What position is most important? Because it's clear. And the reason why I'm asking this question is because I'm if you see the title, I'm going to tell you exactly why. Okay? This is something that we going to talk about. So because the comment, I made a video in a short, and the short again went on to talk about bringing in a running back, and that running back was Trevor Etienne. And see, this is why, like this, I really try my best not to call people stupid, and then y'all do stupid shit, and y'all force me right back into Mad Mike mode. Y'all force me into Mad Mike mode because of the stupid shit that y'all do and the stupid shit that y'all say. This is why it's stupid. Okay? Suggested that the Atlanta Falcons should bring in a running back that's going to complement. Okay? That's going to be a part of this Atlanta Falcons team because, for one thing, a lot of people think that everybody on this offense, there's nothing going to happen to anybody, that Drake London is going to always be there. Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Michael Penix, offensive line, like nothing. These players are just never going to go through anything. But again, what happens if something goes astray? What happens when we are down and we're short a wide receiver? Who do we count on then? Who do we count on if Drake London isn't that guy for a particular week because of a nagging injury, a hamstring, a sprained ankle, who do we turn to then? See, these are the things that I'm talking about in regard to this Atlanta Falcons fan base. You motherfuckers don't care. You don't have a care in the world because you don't think that far down the line. And then you look at guys like Terry Fontenot and the draft as if it's like I'm just going to get all the best players. And it makes no damn sense. I'm just going to get all the best players because this is the best player. This guy did this. Keyshawn, DJ, that played. Like, we don't take the time out to think about what happens if something goes down. Who's going to step up? What happens if one of our players say, you know what, I want to get paid? What happens when a player say, nah, you know what, I'm going to free agency? What happens to a player or a coach when he leaves and goes to another team? What happens then? See, fans aren't worried about what happens. Fans aren't worried about that. And yes, it's WrestleMania night too. I'm getting ready for it now. Actually, I'm stalling. This is exactly why I'm stalling. Getting ready for it, 7 o'clock, you know. But these are the things that I'm talking about. When players decide, it's like, look, I've been a team player first. We just saw Grady Jarrett say the hell with that. He could have came back there to the Atlanta Falcons and renegotiated his contract and give something back to the Atlanta Falcons. He could have done that. Grady didn't do that. He kept saying, one thing y'all got to understand with players, when they keep saying shit like, man, look, I'm willing to do anything. You just go talk to my agent. Grady Jarrett said that for 3 years straight when the Falcons sit up here looking for money to play players. Guess who they kept running to? Chris Lindstrom, Jake Matthews. Over and over and over again. Grady Jarrett, he said, man, look, I'm ready to do anything for the team, man. Just hit my agent. Meanwhile, not one time did Grady Jarrett give any of that money back. Not one time did Grady Jarrett give that money back. As soon as he had another opportunity to get paid, look, that motherfucker didn't wait one day. It was barely one day Grady signed a motherfucking contract with Chicago. Left. Grady got the hell on. So I'm saying this is one of the reasons why when you got a young quarterback in Michael Penix, okay, we got a guy in Michael Penix, the spotlight is on him. It ain't Bijan Robinson. It ain't the offensive line. The Falcons general manager and the Falcon team is building around Michael Penix. Y'all got to understand that. This ain't about Drake. Because if Drake doesn't want to play ball, guess what? There's other players out. It's other wide receivers in the hell, even in this draft. There's even players in this draft that you can replace Drake London. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Drake not, playing ball and want to be in Atlanta. But like I said, you got to take this in consideration also. Drake London is one of those guys. He from the West Coast. He playing in Atlanta. So in a couple of years, if Drake London is due for his contract, who to say he won't want to go back home? See, these are the things you got to think about as a fan and a possibility. Drake London might say, look, I want to go back home, and the Rams, Las Vegas, Arizona, they might want to give me more money. They probably want to give me a contract, and it's more convenient for me because like I'm all the way here on the East Coast and the South, and I'm from Cali. I'm from the West Coast. These are the things you got to take consideration. You got to take this in consideration when dealing with these players. So the question was, it's like Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. It's like everybody wants Tyler Algier because it's look bashing through a motherfucker skull in football. A lot of times that's fun for certain people. But the Atlanta Falcons are built around Michael Penix. And I'm telling y'all right now, do not be. They've already showed you guys what they want to do and how they want to build this team. They brought in 2 guys in the trench, 3 guys in the trenches. Rook Ororo, Bryce. I always say Bryce. Braylon Trice, Brandon Douglas. We brought those 3 guys that you brought in to build around. You paid for Jesse Bates. You paid for Mike Hughes. You drafted a Clark Phillips. You drafted a Troy Anderson. And these guys weren't first rounders. They spending all their first round and all their high picks on offensive players. So they already showing you with this team. And hell, if you look at the NFL is showing you that, look, yeah, we can draft guys as defense, but like if you don't have a quarterback, you're on the offensive line. If you don't have a running back, you can't win. We just saw Houston. The Houston Texans. We just saw them. Pretty damn good defense for the last 2 years, and guess what? Their offense. They lost a lot of players, and it was never the same. So they haven't been the same, excuse me. So offensively, you got to keep bringing in playmakers. You got to keep bringing in playmakers. Guys leave and they want more they want more money. Who would have thought that Derrick Henry would be in with the Ravens? Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that Derrick Henry would be playing with? See, these are the things we're talking about. You put a running back and you keep bringing these running backs and these players around, Lamar Jackson keep getting weapon after weapon after weapon after weapon. Why do y'all think the Cincinnati Bengals just signed Higgins? Okay? Higgins, Chase. They brought all the offensive weapons. They brought all their offensive weapons, and they're not worried about defense because at the end of the day, with the proper coaching, you can always develop a guy and get these defensive linemen and get these defensive players in mid rounds to late drafts. Especially if you can develop properly, you can get some good talent in there. Keyshawn Vlad says, wide receiver makes sense in the first round because Mooney's contract is not guaranteed after this year. The future of Drake London is questionable, though I expect him to sign an extension. Like this is what I'm talking about. Like nobody's thinking, what if the Atlanta Falcons decide that, yes, I love Drake, but what if Michael Penix say, look, I prefer guys with a little bit more speed. Because Drake London runs about a 4.5. He's not as fast as y'all think he is. Kyle Pitts is far faster than him. What if Mike says that I prefer wide receivers with speed and who can run routes a lot better? And we talking about guys like Justin Jefferson, all these type. He prefers those type. What if he decides that? Now the Falcons have to, like I said, I think I'm not saying I do think that Falcons will give Drake London an extension, but let's just say that Terry Fontenot and Raheem is no longer here. The Falcons don't, the season doesn't play out the way that we hope. And now here you go. Because the season didn't go the way that we hope. You fire Raheem, you fire Terry Fontenot, and you starting over again. And let's say a guy, if we decide to make Kyle Smith the GM, Kyle Smith says, you know what? I'm building this team around. I'm building these players, this team and this offense around Michael Penix, and we need to get him the weapons that he wants. And Drake London is not one of those guys that he prefers. Let's just say that. These are the things you got to take into consideration. Tyler Algier, right along with Mooney, his contract isn't guaranteed. Ray McLeod, his contract after this year. Kyle Pitts, his contract. We got three key players right there. Caleb McGarry at this point. What we're gonna do with him? Because I think he's on his last few years of his contract himself. What's gonna happen with Jake Matthews? What's going to happen to Jake Matthews? These are the things that you got to take. You got to take into consideration. You can't sit up here and say that this is not going to happen. The contracts tell you everything. The Atlanta Falcons have at least 3 players on the offense that could potentially be gone because they're building a team around Michael Penix, and just maybe, Tyler Algier ain't what they're looking for, the type of running back. The Falcons already drafted a guy like Jace McClellan. And yes, we do have Bijan, and yes, we do have Tyler Algier, and yes, I believe Tyler Algier is a wonderful back. But let's just say the Falcons don't want to pay him $5 million to be a backup running back. We have to take in consideration that the offense is going to completely change. Because this may be an offense where it's a pass-first offense. Even with our offensive line, it may be a pass-first offense because we have a quarterback that can sling it. This dude got a big-time arm. So for me, we worried about the wrong things when you talk about Michael Penix and Bijan Robinson and all those guys. We worried about drafting the best players, and we worry about drafting the best player in the draft, but we don't worry about how these guys are going to fit with this team. Fans, we don't care nothing about that because we're so focused on getting the best players. We're talking about getting guys that fit the offense, and we have a plan to replace the guys that could potentially be gone. Because let's keep it real. Outside of Drake London, which wide receiver do we have that we can say is a potential replacement for Drake London? And again, this is another thing. Who to say we brought Drake London, Donnell Mooney in here for Michael Penix? Like, again, these are the things we talking about. We so worried about just getting all the best players. And I understand. And Keyshawn, that's this is exactly what I'm talking about. No, I'm gonna need your 12-year-old ass to think for a second, because the Falcons may not want to pay him with the wide receiver and the quarterback money and market going up every year. Time somebody gets paid, you got to make sure that this guy's a fit for the next 3 to 5 years. The next 3 to 5 years with Michael Penix, because they didn't bring Drake London in here for Michael Penix. We've seen some good players end up getting traded at wide receiver, tight end, running backs. I literally just said this shit about Derrick Henry. Why the hell would they allow Derrick Henry just to leave? Huh? No, we don't know. We don't know they played well together. We saw them a few games. Three to 5 games is not enough. Okay? 4 games. Let's just say 4 games with this guy. We don't know that they play excellent together. We saw them in 3 games. We don't know if the Atlanta Falcons are going to be more of a deep threat. We don't know. So these are the things we keep saying. This is how y'all did. This is how a lot of us didn't see the Falcons drafting Michael Penix. Everybody was looking at, man, we need to build defense. We need to build defense. Well, the reason why the Philadelphia Eagles was able to do that because they already had a quarterback. They had already had a Jalen Hurts that they was building around, so they could take a chance. They could take a chance and get Jordan Davis and Jalen Ramsey. They already had their quarterback. They already had their offensive line. And the Falcons right now in a position where there's no guarantee that Jake Matthews or Caleb McGarry is going to be here the next 2 years. There's no guarantee that our 2 tackles is going to be here next year. So we got to make sure at the end of the day, we don't lose focus of Michael Penix being the guy we building around, because there's nobody on that defense short of Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell that we can say, yep, we're going to build around those guys. So what do you do as a general manager of a team? If the guy that you think is going to be a superstar, who is a superstar, the superstars are already on the offensive side of the ball. The superstars are most of the stars are on the offensive side of the ball, not the defense side of the ball. So if you building around a team and you don't think because I don't think we even are a single player away to winning a championship. So, like me said right here, I think it's Jake Matthews last year. We so worried about defensive talent, but like, let's just say we brought Jeff Ulbrich in here to develop talent. I just say we brought him in to develop talent. So if he's going to develop talent, well, that tells you right there you don't necessarily need a first round talent. Fanyo says the two tackle positions are my biggest concerns. Penix need to be protected in case Matthews aren't here. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Why spend $100 million on Kurt, a first round pick on Michael Penix just to the next year to completely abandon? And take this in consideration also. They let Drew Dalman walk. Y'all think this Falcon team just gonna neglect this offense? They let Drew Dalman walk. You think that Falcons are just gonna totally neglect? Nah, bruh, ain't happening. It's not happening whatsoever. They're going to invest in this offensive line. And right now, you got to be honest with yourself. Yeah, we got some skill players, but you got a Jake Matthews that's in his 30s. I think he's like 32. Caleb McGarry, I think he's 31, 32, somewhere in there. But I think he's somewhere. Don't quote me on the Caleb McGarry, but you got the Caleb McGarry. You got Drew Dalman. We don't know we don't know what at this point in time what Ryan Newsel is going to be. It's a lot of question marks. So don't be surprised. Again, don't be surprised that the Atlanta Falcons go with another running back in the draft. Not first round, obviously. Maybe not second round. But don't be surprised that they bring in a running back, wide receiver, and offensive tackle. And to be honest, Kyle Pitts is not safe. All these guys on their last year contract. They're on their last year. So, like I said, at the end of the day, I think the Falcons are seriously considering getting the best defensive guy. But if a lot of those defensive edge guys are gone early, if there's an early run, be prepared for the Atlanta Falcons to go wide receiver. I'm telling y'all right now. So, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm gonna be a little bit more clear. For one. On top of it, Bergeron can play. Bergeron can play right tackle. But like I said, these are the things that you have to have a potential replacement at left guard if you're going to put Bergeron as the left tackle. He can play that. He can play both tackle positions. So they have, the flexibility to be able to do. But like, do you really want to take him off that right left guard position? I don't know. He can hold up. I believe he got the athleticism, but like I said, do you want to take that chance? That's what it is. So the Atlanta Falcons are already showing you how they're structuring their contracts, who the players that they brought in. They drafted Bijan Robinson when they could have easily had one of the Georgia defensive tackles in Carter and Davis. They decided to go Drake London and Bijan Robinson. So they've already showed us that they're going to do everything possible to have an elite offense. And we just got to understand this is what's going to happen. So that being said, man, I appreciate everybody. We will see Sarah. Hey, good to see you, girl. We will see. We will see as far as that is concerned. But like I said, about to get to WrestleMania. Okay, WrestleMania. Hope y'all have a good night. Like I said, I'm gonna continue to do more impromptu live like this. But like I said, don't get so stubborn where you guys lose sight of what's actually going to happen. What could happen, excuse me, with the Atlanta Falcons and this team. Because like I said, I expect them to go defensive line at some point in the first round. I really believe that it could be the 15th pick. They could possibly trade down. That could be possible as well. But like I said, at this point, the Falcons can do a multitude of things. But do not for 1 second think that offensive tackle and wide receiver is off the board. Because you got Drake, Kyle Pitts, Mooney, Ray McLeod, all these guys, their contract, they're within that 1 to 2 year frame. And the Falcons have to figure out right now with Michael Penix, if he's that guy that you're building around, that what style and what style and the scheme that you're going to have for the next few years. And that's the case. I'm telling y'all, it could be a wide receiver and it could be a tackle. Because Michael Penix is a lefty. And that being said, continue to support your boy here at Man Mike Sports, man. That's all I got to say about that. About to get to this wrestling. No, we're not getting that pick back Southside. You can just forget that. About to go watch me some WrestleMania. Like I said, appreciate it. Continue to support your boy here, man. Mike Sports, man. Gonna drop a lot of lives, so y'all keep those questions coming. Even if you're not Atlanta Falcons fans, all right? I answer everything. Myself, 6-Man K-Style, Mr. Wide Sports, the tactician. Y'all leave y'all comments in there. And like I said, I promise y'all I'll get to it. So with that being said, your boy, man, Mike, man. That's all I got to say about that. And that's the bottom line because, man, Mike said so. Peace.